Tonight, signed, sealed, delivered. Arrium's sale process now officially complete. And what next for a slippery stowaway after a big trip from Queensland to Port Lincoln?
This is Southern Cross News with Nicole Johnston.
Good evening, but first tonight, the state opposition says it'll curb a $150 million backlog of maintenance and capital works in country hospitals if elected at next year's election. The Liberals say the current health model is too city-centric, leaving country hospitals running to the ground. Amelia Simpson reports.
The Liberals have promised to get cracking on maintenance and hospital works if they win next year's state election. With 9 hospitals in the electorate of Stuart and 8 on the fringe, member for Stuart Dan Van Holst Pelican says the upgrades are a priority.
All of the Liberal country MPs have contributed enormously to our opposition discussions and our policy development to ensure that there's a very, very strong focus on supporting our rural and remote hospitals if we're elected in March next year.
While the Liberals say they'll tackle this backlog, Health Minister Jack Snelling says the promise isn't backed up with cash.
Well, it's just more empty rhetoric from the Liberal Party. I mean, they're promising absolutely nothing. There's no commitment of extra funding there for country hospitals. They're not committing to doing anything more than's already being done by the state Labor government.
Meanwhile, the Liberals maintain the government is too focused on Adelaide, saying they'll make sure regional health is managed in the regions.
Local administration need not be running back to Adelaide all the time to make what are very obvious decisions. They need to have the authority within their regions to make those decisions, and that's exactly what we'll give them.
Speaking of the backlog, Minister Snelling says it's a continuing challenge in country hospitals, addressing claims their policy is too Adelaide-centric. The Minister says the government is focusing on delivering chemotherapy units to country hospitals and retaining local GPs.
Amelia Simpson reporting there. Well, it's official. GFG Alliance's purchase of Arrium has been formally approved by the Failed Companies Committee of Creditors. It now means the company, which owns the Wireless Steelworks, is now officially in the hands of the consortium after 16 months of administration. KordaMentha says the decision is the last significant hurdle in the process. They'll now move to settle debts and determine how much creditors in the company get repaid. The London-based group and KordaMentha are working on a handover which is expected to be completed by late next month. Federal Liberal MPs representing regional areas led by the member for Grey have put pressure on the PM to include one of them in the cabinet. Rowan Ramsey says the group is trying to ensure their voice is heard as they face threats from Hanson and Xenophon.
Although the Nationals position themselves as the party of regional Australia, there are over 20 Liberal MPs who represent rural electorates. Grey is one of them, with MP Rowan Ramsey leading a group promoting their efforts in regional Australia.
A steady stream of high-end cabinet ministers to come and talk to us about the issues that concern rural Australia.
Notable members include South East SA MP Tony Payson and Senator Anne Ruston, Junior Minister Dan Tehan, Queensland MP Warren Entsch and former Health Minister Susan Lee. They've come to prominence after it was revealed last week the Prime Minister met with them post-budget. Mr Ramsey says stronger communication has helped achieve significant results for our region.
When I look at the result on Arrium, which I'm very, very happy about, it's because I was able to communicate at the right level with the people that sit at the very top table, the inner cabinet.
Mr Ramsey says the Liberals need a strong vision for regional Australia, as parties like One Nation and SA Best make inroads into their heartlands.
We have to be quite clear about what it is we stand for, what decisions we own in government.
And while they're getting a fair hearing, he believes a voice in Cabinet is needed. Susan Lee was their voice until she resigned earlier this year, amid an expenses scandal.
There is a number of very prominent country Liberals that could effectively do that work, and I hope that they'll be considered.
On Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill's palliative care priorities have been detailed in a report from the New South Wales Government. The city hosted a roundtable in May with community and industry leaders having their say about how to improve services in the region.
Back in May, one of 10 statewide palliative care roundtables was held in Broken Hill.
We had a range of general practitioners, specialist palliative care services and all our multidisciplinary team members who work with us around palliative care across the district.
It discussed what the service is doing well and what its needs are for the future. 2 months later, a report has now been released detailing the outcomes.
And we work really, really well with our primary health care providers. So specialist palliative care, we only have a small team of 2 teams based in Broken Hill and Dareton. So obviously we can't do everything, so that's why it's really inherent that we work well with our partners.
Another strength was service projects ensuring those who don't need specialist palliative care still receive quality care at the end of their life. The report also detailed what the region needs in order to improve. In the state budget, $100 million has been allocated to palliative care services. Ms Cummings says it's not confirmed what Broken Hill will receive, but the report might shed some light.
I think that the report findings that have come out today will actually inform how that money is spent for the LHDs.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
As we reported earlier this week, an unwanted visitor was uncovered by Woolworths employees after hitchhiking 2,000 kilometres to Port Lincoln. The python hiding in a pallet of pumpkins was captured by Natural Resources Rangers, with plans now for the snake to be re-released into the wild.
A slippery customer that has caused plenty of commotion. This juvenile python gave Woolworths employees a fright after sneaking into a freight load of pumpkins. The unwanted customer making the 2,000-kilometre journey across the border from Queensland before being discovered. Natural Resource officers then receiving an anxious phone call.
I'd imagine the blood pressure of the person that first come across the snake would have elevated quite rapidly.
The olive python, native to Western Queensland, can grow up to 4 metres in length. However, this young reptile is only a baby, reaching just over a metre, easily going unnoticed.
It's gone through quite a trip and quite an ordeal, so it's despite that it's in good health.
Natural Resources commending Woolworths for contacting the right authorities. Animals that hitchhike across the border pose a significant risk to our environment.
Had this animal got out into the wild with, perhaps with some pathogens and, like I said, parasites that we don't have down here, it could have caused some problems for our local wildlife or even maybe our local primary producers.
But its journey is not quite over yet. The snake will now make its way to Clearland Wildlife Park, where it will be placed into quarantine before hopefully being re-released into the wild. The snake will likely head back to Queensland in coming weeks. Woolworths happy with the outcome.
Particularly the staff, perhaps, that open the box will be opening other boxes very carefully from now on, yes.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Still to come in tonight's local news, the push to heritage list the site of the first terrorist attack on Australian soil. The details ahead. Welcome back. Port Pirie Police have impounded 2 cars overnight after the drivers were caught driving while disqualified. Just before 1:30 this morning, local patrol stopped a car driving along the terrace. Checks revealed a 29-year-old woman was driving with a disqualified Northern Territory licence. She was reported and her car was impounded for 28 days. Earlier, patrol stopped another woman driving along Kingston Road in Risdon Park South. She returned a blood alcohol reading of 0.22, and further checks revealed she was driving an unregistered vehicle and was also disqualified. Her car was impounded for 28 days and with a loss of licence for 1 year. Both drivers will appear in court at a later date. Port Augusta is set to be the site of a suicide prevention trial. The Black Dog Institute and the South Australian Primary Health Network say the trial will reduce numbers of these tragedies by a measurable amount.
A regional need recognised by the federal government, Port Augusta has been chosen to host a trial to curb suicide numbers. The program Lifespan by the Black Dog Institute will run over the next 3 years.
It involves 9 strategies, each of which have evidence on their own for delivering a tangible reduction in suicide attempts or suicides. And when we combine them together in Lifespan, we predict a 20% reduction in suicides.
Some of these strategies include more organised follow-up and working in local schools.
No individual strategy has enough power to significantly reduce the effects. We have to put multiple things in place.
Port Augusta, chosen for its population size, is one of 12 sites around Australia to host the trial, which is set to shape the government's future policies.
So Port Augusta was chosen as really a central service hub that we could have a look at if we could affect change.
What's trialled in Port Augusta will then be rolled out in the rest of the region.
We're really lucky that Country SA has been announced and that we get to have a look at how we can roll out some strategies and test some new activities to see if we can affect change in suicide behaviour in our region.
If you or someone you know needs help, call the Suicide Callback Service or Lifeline. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
A historic site in Broken Hill where the first terrorist attack on Australian soil was carried out could soon be heritage listed. The White Rocks Reserve saw the shootout between two armed gunmen and police unfold after they attacked a picnic train during World War I.
January 1st, 1915 was a historic day for Broken Hill, but for the wrong reasons.
It's a significant event for the city, but it's also of national significance.
Over 1,000 locals were on a picnic train when Badger Muhammad Gul, a local ice cream vendor, and Mullah Abdullah, a halal butcher, opened fire 3 kilometres out of town. The men were flying an Ottoman Empire flag. At first, many believed the shots were part of the New Year's celebrations, but they were wrong.
They saw the ice cream van waving, and they waved back, and then all of a sudden one young girl, Makawi, fell forward, had been shot in the head, and that's when they realised that it was not part of a New Year's Day celebration and picnic celebration, that it was actually a real attack.
3 men were killed during the attack while Gul and Abdullah left the scene. The men sought shelter at a site now known as White Rocks Reserve, where police tracked them down and a 90-minute shootout ensued, with both men being shot and killed. A local man who was out chopping wood at the time ignored warnings from his daughter to come in and was hit by a stray bullet, making him the 4th victim. A replica of Gul's ice cream van now stands at the site. The Battle of Broken Hill was the first terrorist attack within Australia and saw the first Australian killed by an enemy army on home soil.
In essence, that exactly is what it was. So, of course, it's extremely significant, and it's nice to know that the state's at last looking to acknowledge it.
The Heritage Council of New South Wales says it's now considering listing the White Rocks Reserve site on the State Heritage Register. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
When we return after the break, a funding boost set to turn a Mid-North soccer pitch into the most advanced in the state. Welcome back. Burn Park, home to the Northern Demons, is set to become the most advanced soccer pitch in regional South Australia after securing $1.1 million in funding. The funding will go towards developing a new state-of-the-art synthetic turf.
Through the Football Federation of South Australia, the home of the Northern Demons will soon become state-of-the-art. The $1.1 million from the state government will help the club cater for the growing demand of soccer here in Port Pirie and provide players with the best possible pitch to play on.
This is going to be hopefully the hub where they can come here, learn and be better soccer players and hopefully play for Australia.
The Northern Demons were the only regional club to receive funding, and it's hoped soccer players from near and far will come join the club because of its upgrade.
It will help us draw players in the future and cement something long term, I guess now. It's awesome.
The Football Federation of South Australia negotiated with the state government to secure the funding, following concerns of high water prices. The synthetic pitch will reduce water expenses for the club.
This will significantly reduce them costs and give us the best pitch that the guys can possibly play on.
Work on the redevelopment is expected to start in the middle of next year. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Adelaide United have begun their 2-day community camp in Whyalla with a visit to schools and hospitals. Players say it's a great chance to get out and meet fans who don't get to see the team close up too often.
Adelaide United players were king of the kids this morning as they visited Whyalla Primary School. The players signed autographs and put the kids through their paces at a coaching clinic, with a few future superstars identified.
We represent South Australia on the national scene, and it's important to come to these communities and do these things for the kids, for the people of Whyalla. And
the whole team, led by coach Marco Kurz, is in Whyalla until tomorrow. Taylor and fellow senior players also visited the Whyalla Hospital to meet patients and staff. He says the club were hoping to put some smiles on the faces of people doing it tough.
We're just lucky enough to do what we love for a job, and I mean, we're here now in the hospital and you get to see people that are in not the best situations at times, and it's good for us to try and put a smile on their face.
Local soccer has been kicking goals recently as participation numbers for the game continue to grow.
And have these guys come in, it shows what the juniors that we've got today can come up and look forward to.
The Reds held an open training session this afternoon and will bring you the action tomorrow night. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Time to check out what's biting out on the Gulf waters. Here's this week's fishing tips.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. Can't believe last weekend I had a couple of reports of a shark around the Port Tremaine area. Quite a big one. The boat was about 5 metres long. When we're talking about fishing at this particular moment, we're finding it really hard to struggle with the King George whiting. We're not getting quite the numbers. We have to go to Eastern Shoal or over to Ward Spit. You'll find yourself a nice feed of fish there. When you're looking for some of the other fish, if you're in closer, burley up the top and try for some Tommy Rough and some salmon. And don't forget, there's plenty of flathead to be had around the place as well. Snapper on the smaller wrecks closer to the creeks, you'll do well there.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, Squid City at the moment, just about everywhere you go, have that squid jig out and you'll certainly get some. A lot more at the end of the day, obviously, but everywhere along the shacks, out in the middle as well. The whiting is just starting to drop off, but I think that's probably more due to the slime starting to get on the baits and the whiting not being able to get to it. And there are some snapper out in the seabird.
Whalers fishing report this week. There's been a few pan-sized snapper coming out of the rip. The bigger fish have been passing through the Marix Tyre Reef and the boiler tanks, most of the times in the early morning and late evenings, but there has been a few fish caught there during the day, along with some nice King George whiting as well. Down towards Mount Young, there's still some good numbers of squid. Most of the boats getting their bag limit pretty easy. For the land-based anglers, there's been a few silver whiting scattered across the foreshore. Out towards Point Lowly, there's still some nice schools of salmon around there. A few squid down towards the Point Lowly boat ramp along the sandhills. And Becky Point has some nice salmon trout and nice-sized snook.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips. We've had some great weather this week around the coast, so there's been plenty of action. The best of it's been the squid and the whiting. Good tides around this week, allowed plenty of anglers to get out there amongst them. The passage has been alright for a few nannyguy and snapper are still down there. Out of the group, and Tommy Bay has been really good for the whiting. There's been plenty of good squid up there too. Over the Coffin Bay side, it's been a pretty similar story. Out at Farm Beach, a great whiting. And on the winter salmon front, there's been some great catches all around the coast, with the winter salmon comp producing some good fish last month. That's all for this week. We'll see you again next week.
Stay with us after the break, a check of the local weather. Welcome back to the weather now. A fine 22 in Port Augusta today with 21 in Whyalla. Port Lincoln, some showers around 20, the same for Port Pirie. A fine 19 in Broken Hill. On the national satellite image, patchy cloud continues to move across the region, with it we'll see showers over the next few days. Out on the waters tomorrow, winds to 25 knots and to the west, seas to 2.5 metres and southerly. Sunrise is at 7:23. Showers around into tomorrow with 18 for Port Augusta, Whyalla and Port Lincoln on 17, Port Pirie showers and 16, a fine 18 in Broken Hill. Then showers across the weekend for Port Lincoln, 17, then 18. Cleve with 16 on Saturday, a cloudy day ahead on Sunday with showers. Similar conditions for Woodna. Whyalla with the showers holding off for the weekend, 17, then 18 on Saturday and Sunday. 17 and then 19 for Port Augusta. Kadina will see showers through, 16 both days. Port Pirie looking fine, 16 and 17 with showers returning on Monday. Clare wet with 13 both days. Broken Hill a sunny 14 ahead with showers and 16 this weekend. And that's the local news this evening. Don't forget you can stay up to date on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you back here tomorrow night from 6:30. I'm Nicole Johnston. Have a good evening. Good night.